Well, hi there. Bit of a different review today because it's a drone from Syma. I think that's how you say it. Syma. Pretty popular maker of the sort of toy drone industry in the UK. You can find them in quite a few high street shops, and you sort of see kids playing with them in the park quite often. At least I do. So the reason I want to review this is, although it's like brilliant, and I would say get yourself a hobby grade drone, they're great, and build them yourself and all that. Not everyone's going to go down that route, especially where you may have kids asking for stuff for Christmas wildly out of price range. Like my daughter, when asked what for Christmas, she says a Microsoft Surface Pro, specifically that one, which is like, I was like, well, that's like 5 times more expensive than I would ever spend. And I would guess that when kids are saying what I want for Christmas, it would be like a Phantom 4 or a Mavic or something like that, which is like, you're not going to get one of those. Let's bring it down a touch. So quite often these will end up in the hands of kids and it'll be their first experience of flying. So I wanted to really see what they can get out of it and how good it is. I mean, it's very unfair to compare this to like a photo or video drone like a Phantom. So let's think of it as, you know, a cheap and cheerful, all-in-one, ready to fly toy drone. Will it give you enough to get really into the hobby? Will it teach you enough about how to control stuff so that next leap onwards is going to take you more into the hobby grade stuff? Price wise, in the UK they come at about 50 quid, even cheaper if you buy from overseas, like knock another 10 or 12 pounds off that. So in this box, nicely packed, you get a whole bunch of stuff. You get the little drone itself, tiny, very light, it weighs of nothing, and you will hear an interesting little sound if I do this, because this has got tiny motors in it. From what I could work out, they are 8mm by 16mm, and to put it into context, something like this has bigger motors. This is 8.5 by 20mm motors, obviously spinning a tiny little prop, and so the reason it can spin these big props is that it's geared, so the brush motor connects by a gear to turn these bigger props and get more thrust that way. So yeah, brush motors and gears. Aside from that, you have a controller, as you might expect, a little bit plasticky, fake buttons here. This is designed to be a Wi-Fi drone for FPV, so it has one of these little holders that goes in there. You get the camera drone itself. I think this is 0.3 megapixels, obviously not very high on the resolution. A little 500 milliamp hour battery, one cell, with a peculiar connector I've never seen before. I don't know if it's Syma's own brand. Spare props, prop guards, little legs, USB charger, which I'm going to have to use because that connector's different to anything I've seen, screwdriver, and a manual. So let's shove the little bits together and see what we get. Well, it's all together, and that's literally a 5-minute job. You just pop them in and there's some screws to put in there. The little Wi-Fi camera just slots into place. And you've got, as you might expect, the little battery compartment here where I've already put the battery in, although there is also an on-off switch, which is quite good. A couple of lights here, tell you statuses and so you can see it in the air, so that's quite good. Transmitter, it's got this little thing on that holds the phone in, like so. As with these normal Wi-Fi things, it's a case of you turn everything on and then you connect to the Wi-Fi in the camera, and that gives you the picture and you can take photos and record stuff as well. The controller itself has some little information on the display, one of which was interesting. It comes as default, it says by mode 1, but it doesn't mean mode 1 in the traditional RC sense for your transmitters, which confused me at first. So I said, oh, I'm mode 2, I set it to mode 2, and then looked in the manual to find out mode 1 and mode 2 meant something different. So mode 1, as far as this goes, is mode 2 in normal flying, which is a throttle stick here and a rudder and normal aileron or roll and pitch as far as quads go. It says the battery should go for about 6.5 minutes. I've charged it up on the USB thing, which takes like an hour and a bit, so quite a while. But yeah, let's try it. First thing I did was do a quick garden hover, or intended to, and this is what happened. It just veered off and wouldn't stay still. So what I need to do here is calibrate the gyro, which you do with a stick movement. As soon as I did this, it was fine, and it hovered around the garden fine, and I even tried a little flip using the flip button, which felt really odd on a quad this size. So let's go now to the field, and I'll go for a full battery and chat to myself all the way through it. Let's try and fly around and see what we get. I'm going to put this on. You can see this, record. It works. Now we're going to arm it.
Okay, so what to say? The altitude hold seems to work okay. We need it in the higher rates. Got just a little bit of stuff to do. Let's take it out for a little circle, see what happens. Well, I have to say that's super easy to fly, pretty stable in the air. It's obviously not got any position hold, so it's drifting around a little bit. But in terms of height, it holds that quite well. So let's take our attention to the FPV screen. So let's see if I can see myself here. So if I turn around, where am I? There I am. So there is me. Hello. Using the screen. So up, up. Hopefully you can see me there. Oh. Just locked up completely. So, it's usable, but it's very narrow. If you look at me there, it looks like I'm right on top of me. But if I look there, I'm quite a way away. So let's fly down here, see how it feels. I'm not expecting too much range out of it, to be perfectly honest. Oh God, yeah. I don't like the FPV at all. Aside from the fact it's a low resolution camera, that's okay, we kind of knew that, didn't we? It's just, it's so narrow. It feels like I'm right on top of myself looking at me here, and I'm, you know, good 10, 12 feet away. But in terms of flying, it's actually really quite nice. Very easy. And of course you don't have to really worry about messing with altitude. I think it's sinking slightly, but it's not too bad. Very curious noise because of the gears on the motors. But if I look at the FPV screen now, it's like, ugh. It is just, because it's so zoomed in. Oh, I think it just ran out of signal or something, because it just landed. It said, no, I'm going down. Well, I think that was an instance of it running out of range there. Probably about 30 to 50 meters. Let's try that again. So the failsafe seems to be to go down and land, which is not a bad idea. So the range is a little bit limited, I think it's fair to say. Let's see how it goes if we go a bit faster. That's not bad. I mean, it's a 1-cell 500 here. See if it's got much punch. No! Though it's not really punch as much as go up and go down as far as the throttle goes. It doesn't fall very quickly either. Sounds quite nice. But yeah, right, let's have a look at the FPV screen now. Let's go forward. And we just get zoomed in grass. So yeah, fail at FPV, but the actual quad though flies quite nicely, and it's really easy to control line of sight. You can throw it back quite nicely. Let's put it in, this is the first rate. Oh God, that's slow. In any sort of breeze, I think you'd struggle to actually move it. That's full stick. Full stick is doing that. Yeah, and that's into your full rates. So you've only got 2 settings. So maybe it works better as taking a photo. Let's try that. Let's see if I can take a photo of myself and see what that looks like. Again, this is a 0.3 megapixel camera. You can probably draw a better picture of yourself, but let's give it a go. So let's line ourselves up. Camera. So maybe not for doing selfies. Let's go up and see if I can take a picture of something. So, oh yeah, it's just too narrow. So taking a picture. Of course it's not staying still in the air, is it? That's the problem. Bit wobbly on the prop wash even, but not too bad. Right, shall we actually check if that's how the failsafe works? If I put it in, I sort of hover there, and I turn the transmitter off, what happens? Lands. That's quite good actually, isn't it? Quite happy with that. I quite like that. That's a fairly sensible failsafe. What's going to do with it? So let's check our range. Let's record. Let's try and do some FPV down the bushes here. I will try and tilt this up so I can look down, and maybe you can see the copter as well. Whoop. That's just too much of a delay. No, I'm not all confident where I am. That defaulted back, didn't it? Ah, we got flashing lights now. If we have a look, flashing lights means the battery's getting dim, so better put it down. Use our landing pad here since we've got it available.
Just watching that back, and I noticed I didn't really talk about the transmitter, and especially the stick here, which you notice is sprung. And this throttle stick doesn't act so much as a throttle, as opposed to the middle. It should stay. Let's go down. Let's go up. Much easier for your beginner. They don't have to sort of think about it. Just leave it there. And it's pretty common now among the Phantoms and Mavics to have this sprung. So it's not so much a throttle as just a go up and down stick. So. Well, I thought the actual quad itself flew quite well. It was very easy to steer around. It obviously self-levels, and even in the very highest rate it only goes to that, so it's really hard to screw it up in the air. And of course, if you let go of the stick, it should stay and hold its level. Of course, it could just drift away because there's no position hold. We got a very respectable flight time out of it. I wasn't actually counting, but it felt like a good 5 or 6 minutes. You'd want to get in a few more of those batteries so to get, you know, a decent amount of flights out of it. The app, as you saw the little recording I put in the right hand side, records at 640 by 480 and the frame rate seems to vary. So the first one I did was at 25 frames a second, the next one came up at 20 frames a second. I guess it depends on the signal, because I saw it sort of jerking about a bit sometimes and being fairly smooth other times. Okay, so summing up then, what do I like about it, what don't I like about it? On the positive side, it flies nicely, it's super easy to control, it's very inexpensive. All very positive things. There's always a negative side though, and I'm still looking at this as a very, I don't like to use the word cheap because it infers bad quality. It's a very inexpensive little quad all-in-one package. So I don't expect that much from it, and I'm prepared to live with the very low resolution camera. And you saw the pictures and recordings from it. I mean, they're not particularly good, but you would expect it. The Wi-Fi FPV is, you know, it can be a bit jerky, it's a little bit laggy. Again, I accept that, that's part of it. What I can't live with are the images this camera provides. They're just too narrow. It's like looking through a tunnel. Now, I've been flying at that field for over 5 years, and using that, just going a little bit away, I was completely disorientated about where I was, completely lost. And I know that place really well, and I'm fairly confident about FPVing. So I do worry that put in the hands of a beginner, that is not going to be a particularly good view. For me, it seemed completely unusable. I spent more time looking up at the quad where it was than in the screen itself. So in terms of being able to FPV, I think it really does fail on that, and that is literally just the angle. If they could have had a wide angle lens in there, I think, you know, it's not huge quality, but you'd have got away with it. It would have been okay for what it does and the price. As it is, I don't think it's usable. Now, I'm not the target market for this, so if you are looking at this, take a look at the sort of pictures that you're seeing from this and decide if that's for you. Because what you might want to do, I guess, is not fly around and look at the camera. You might want to fly around, look at it, and maybe take the odd picture. I mean, not very good pictures, but if that's your thing, that's your thing. A real shame though, because if it did have that wide angle, I'd be saying, you know, this is pretty good. This, your average 12-year-old kid is going to be like pretty made up by getting one of these they can use. So yeah, conclusion, flies quite nicely, FPV's a letdown. Catch you next time.